So recently I've been watching a lot of streamers and I realized that their rooms were way cooler than mine. So I did some searching online and I realized that a lot of them use these things called Nanoleafs. They come in all different shapes and sizes and they're all controllable through an app on your mobile phone. However, they all come with one flaw.
Bruh.
So I decided to make my own. And there's a few things that I considered when I was going into this project: complexity, versatility, and design. In terms of complexity, I could have chose to use a pre-made app such as WLED that already has a lot of the pre-made settings to control your lights and already connects to your ESP32 through Wi-Fi. Instead, I chose to use Blink. Blink lets you customize an app that you build with your Blink interface, and it gives you the ability to control your lights through writing your own Arduino code, and it also gives you the ability to make web requests. I also used cardboard and styrofoam plates because I didn't have a 3D printer and I didn't want to buy diffuser panels. With versatility, I took my light strip and I separated it into 8 sections, and I put each section into a separate light panel. This way, in the future, if I wanted to change my design and move the light panels around, it would be a lot easier. For design, I chose to use hexagon shapes for my light panels because personally I thought it looked a lot better than triangles, and also with the use of paper plates for my diffusers, it was a lot easier to cut hexagons than it was to cut triangles. So the materials I used were an ESP32 module, individually addressable 5-meter LED lights, some breadboard wires, and a very basic soldering kit. For light panels, I used cardboard to create a base, I used styrofoam plates to diffuse the light, and I used a glue gun as well as an X-Acto knife to bring it all together. So the first thing that I did was write code and upload that onto the ESP32 module to test if my lights were working. The main thing that I used to control my lights in the Arduino code was using the fast LED library to change its colors. I also get the information from the Blink app through these blink_write functions, and that information gets taken in, and I take that information and I put it to an object that I created of my controller class. And basically this controller class just takes in a lot of information and it feeds that information into each separate leaf class, which I'll talk about later. And then that leaf class would generate a color, and then it would send that information of the new colors back to my controller class, and my controller class would then display that onto my LED lights. So to explain my leaf class, in my controller class I have a vector of pointers that point to 8 separate leaf objects, which are each of my Nanoleaf panels. So basically my leaf class contains functions that are run based off of which mode that is set inside of the Blink app, and so it controls each Nanoleaf that I have separately, giving it different colors based off of something that I generate. So for example, if I have it on the hue randomness mode, it would give me a random hue color, and each separate Nanoleaf panel would have a different color that is generated and then therefore displayed and given back to that controller class. And eventually that information would be taken and put back into that controller object, which would then display the color through the fast LED library. Now it's time to create the light panels. First, I cut up hexagons with cardboard. Then I cut strips of cardboard to glue that on top of those hexagons. Then I cut up the lights and soldered wires onto it. And here's what it looks like when it's put all together. I also added some aluminum foil to make it brighter, but this step is optional. So I thought the cardboard looked kinda ugly, so I painted the outside white. then I put it onto the wall. And finally, I put the styrofoam plates onto each light and made some final touches. So here's a quick demo of how the app works with the lights. So I can change the colors, and currently it's on the static mode, which is on when it's turned on by default. I can change the brightness in that static mode to make it brighter or dimmer. I set it to hue randomness mode here, which would change between different colors for different lights and fade between random colors. I can make it fade faster or slower. I can also change the hue randomness setting here to change how different the colors can become based off of the original color that you set. And here I can change to a different mode. I'm choosing the color gradient mode, which basically just creates a gradient from white to the color that you set on the zebra. This will also fade in and out every 10 seconds. And then here I change it to the hue gradient mode, which would create a gradient of the hue color that you set. And this will also fade in and out. Here I created themes that were preset inside of my code, and basically I set an array of different colors and it would randomly switch between these different colors and display on each Nanoleaf panel. And so I created two default themes here, beach vibes and winter theme. So one other thing that I added was compatibility with Google Home. Hey Google, turn on the lights.
Okay, turning on the Nanoleaf.
Hey Google, turn off the lights.
Okay, turning off the Nanoleaf.
So how I did this was through a service called IFTTT, and basically how I could do this was I could make a request to the Blink server and they would automatically set one of the pin values or one of the sliders on my interface to a certain value so I could turn it on that way. Here's what it looks like at the end, and I think it turned out pretty well.